Hello, hello, hello. It's Belinda from Belinda's Book Nook, and I'm here today to do a new kind of video. I thought it would be interesting to talk to you about audiobooks. I love them. I know some people are either books or audiobooks, and some people like me like both. And you can find me often when I'm cooking, wearing my headphones, when I'm in the garden, wearing my headphones, walking around the house. Sometimes when I'm working, depending upon what I'm working on, I will be listening to a book, or sometimes I'll listen to a podcast. So I thought I'd share with you books that, or authors, I think I have 7 on my list, 7 authors that I really prefer to listen to in audiobook. And the reason why I say this is not that the writing there's something wrong with the writing. For various reasons for each of the books, when I've come across them and I've listened to them in audio, I've enjoyed it so much that I didn't really miss having a physical book in front of me. So what I'm going to do is I have enough books that I don't think I could describe all of the books, but I will show you the books that I've read with these different authors, so at least you'll know who they are. Number 1 on my list, and I had to say her number 1 because I've never read anything of hers at all. Some of these authors I might have read the physical copy of a book of theirs, but this author I've only started with audio and I will stay there. And that's Elizabeth Acevedo. I know that people talk about it all the time, her books, but I think that her books and audio, she reads them and narrates them, and she does such an amazing job. So the first book that I read by her was called With the Fire on High. I'm gonna keep moving it to make sure that you guys can see it, because I don't own the physical copy of the book, but I do want you to see it. Oh my God, blooper. And so that one was really good. That was my first instance, and I really, really loved that one. The second book that I read by her, let's see if I can get the picture up here, is The Poet X, which was the one I had heard about more, but I actually didn't read it in that order. I did read The Fire on High first, and then I read The Poet X. And the covers are really lovely on these too. So that's another one that I liked by her. And most recently this year, her latest book that came out was called Clap When You Land. And I've talked about that already on the channel, but I loved it. It was phenomenal. This is the cover in that one, which I think is really cool. So those are the 3 that I've read that, particularly stand out to me, of books that I just really think that I really enjoy listening to in audio. So the next person that I would say their book, the author is Isabel Allende, and she's prolific in terms of how many books she's written, but I've just scratched the surface. I think in 2015 was the first time I came across her in her books, and I believe it was the first one, I think, was The Japanese Lover, and this is the cover. Her covers of books are gorgeous as well. This woman's books rock. You just get so much. They're like a historical fiction. The books that I've read of hers have made me curious enough to go on and read some more stuff about these aspects of history online. So, if you get a chance to pick up one of her books, the narration, I let me see, I did 2 books of hers in audiobook, and I enjoyed the narration. Now, that doesn't mean they won't switch to somebody that might not do a good job, but so far I've really enjoyed it, and I think I will continue on that path as opposed to physically reading her books. The second book, so that was the first one, The Japanese Lover, and the second one was In the Midst of Winter. And I have to say, The Japanese Lover dealt with a lot. Her books are like very layered in terms of what they deal with. But I think In the Midst of Winter had more historical stuff that really drove me to try to learn more in it than The Japanese Lover. But again, both of them were really good. All right, let's see. Who's the next person we got here? All right, so the next one I have, I'm going to skip that and go to the next one because I have physical copies of some books and I just didn't read them. I listened to the audio. But the next one I have is called The Hidden Life of Trees. I'm going to say his name is Peter Wallenben. And this is the cover of the book. And I can't remember when I read this, maybe 2 years ago, I think, or I don't think it was a year ago. I think it was 2 years ago. As a nonfiction. I think I read it for Nonfiction November. Oh my God, really interesting. I'm like, I'm always outside. I like being in nature. And I found this book so interesting with regards to trees and how they communicate with one another. And the guy that reads it, the narrator, he reminds me kind of Winnie the Pooh. I don't know. I think that's what it was that I liked about his voice, and it was just soothing to listen to. So I know that he's written a bunch of other nonfiction, and if that same guy narrates them, I hope so. I definitely want to listen to them. So that one is the Hidden Life of Trees, and it's what they feel and how they communicate discoveries from a secret world, and that was really good. So then the next one, I've only had one in this author, but she has a new book coming out in, I believe, September, and I'm probably going to wait and get it and listen to the audiobook. And that's by Tiffany D. Jackson, and it's Monday's Not Coming. I think I read this last year, or listened to it last year, and I remember it brought a lot of emotion. It was really a heavy story, coming of age story. It dealt with a lot of issues. There's a lot of trigger warnings for this particular book as well, as in terms of abuse. But it was really well done in the audio version. So I think that I would probably try her next one, just because I enjoyed this experience with this one. And I can't remember what the next book is called. I would tell you that. But I'm definitely going to do that one as my next one. And then let's see, I think that's it on there. All right, so the ones that I had, they're physical, but I still bought the book, but I didn't read them. The physical was, the next author would be Colin Whitehead. The Underground Railroad was talked about. The year it came out was just everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. The second book that I read by him also, which was talked about a lot, is The Nickel Boys. I listened to the audio on both of these, and I think that I would prefer his books in audiobook. I remember starting to read this, and it was pretty good, and then I just felt myself kind of dragging. And then when I listened to the audiobook, I just flew through it. I really enjoyed it much better in audio form, and it might not be for everybody, but that was what I did. The Nickel Boys as well, I really enjoyed it much better. It's a hard story, but it's really important in terms of bringing out truths about these schools in this country. And I did enjoy this one better with the audiobook. So Colin Whitehead might be another one that I didn't say I wouldn't buy his books. I do like to support authors too. But I do like to listen to certain ones, and his I definitely think will stay on that list of audiobooks. Another one that I have a bunch of her books, and I just haven't read all of them that I own, but a couple of years back I got this one for a birthday haul, and as one of my books in my birthday haul, and I really enjoyed the unbelievable audio experience, and that is Christine Hanna's books, and this one is called The Great Alone. And I mean, listen, when this came out, I mean, just look how pretty the book cover is. I couldn't resist buying it with like the gold birds, and I just loved it. So, and I loved its floppy. I remember saying that on my birthday haul, I'm like, ooh, this is going to be great to read. And who knew I would not read it in physical form, but listen to the audio. If you get a chance, this is a really good one. It's a really good audio book. The story is, I'm not supposed to tell it. Okay, I won't do any like favors. I loved all these books. I don't want to do descriptions because I don't want to take up a lot of time. Look it up. It was a very good book. The narrator, I think she's the same narrator that did the book The Educated, but don't quote me. I think that's the same person that narrated this as the book Educated. And it was so good. I remember recommending it to my sister, and she listened to it and really enjoyed it. You know, it was one of those ones where I was, oh my God, what's going to happen? And I'm walking around the house with the headphones on, you know, talking to myself, and my family's like, what is wrong with her? So that was a good one. So I foresee that I will probably, if she has good narrators, listen to some of the other ones that I do own in audio version. Sometimes what I'll do too is I will take the book and I'll read along with it. Like I'll let it read to me, and I'll look along at the words. And then other times I will read it and then come back and I'll do the audio when maybe I'm doing dinner or what have you. But I always, end up listening to the full book, This one, I have a bunch of her books as well. This is Lisa C. And I couldn't resist, again, the cover. I remember I pre-ordered it because I wanted to have it. And this is The Island of Sea Women. She does a great job of doing research on her books. This is a historical fiction, I guess you'd call it. But if you go and look it up, she's done extensive research on this particular group of people. And it was phenomenal in audio. I really liked it. So I probably will listen to more of hers in audio. So that's Lisa C. And this is The Island of Sea Women. And I think that's it, right? Are those all the people? Let me see if I covered everybody. Yeah, there's others that I listened to, but I thought I'd just give you, I think I did 7, right? Authors that, just to give it a try. Sometimes, like I said, I'm really picky about my narrators. And some stories are harder to follow sometimes with somebody else reading it to you. But all of these, I had no problem following the story, and I really enjoyed it. So give it a try, and let me know if you've read any of these, because they were really great. And if you have any recommendations of any audiobooks that you like, or authors that you'd like only to read in audio form. Other than that, wash your hands, stay safe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.